Firstly, I want to say this solo developer has a 97% positive review rating on Steam. His game Bearnard releases today, so this is all the information you may need about it. Indie devs seem to do what AAAs don't, that's take risks within genres. Bearnard then throws in loads of different systems, a touch of turn-based RPG, and some real-time puzzle platforming to make something quite unique. For Michał Wiklinski, the solo Polish developer of Bearnard, this release represents a huge moment in his life, and it's games and experiences like this that we absolutely love on SwitchUp. One person deciding they have an idea for a game and then spending years of their own time and effort to bring it to reality.
At some point I left my job and had like 7 months of my free time, and I started develop Bearnard. So every morning I got up and started working on the game. So after prototyping, after several months of iterating the ideas, I had the prototype, I had the vertical slice. So finally, after this 6-7 months, I was able to continue working on Bearnard, but after hours. So I got back to my regular job to pay bills, and you need something to eat.
Now, we've worked with this publisher many times before to help them spotlight different developers such as this, and as such they've sponsored us to take a look and give away a few copies. If you'd like to win one of those, just leave your comments down below. Maybe something about indie devs that you just think hits a bit different to those AAA titles. What is Bearnard all about? Well, my name's Mark Walker, welcome back to SwitchUp. Now let's find out. The story goes that you take on the role of Bearnard, who's a lazy, grumpy bear, but also happens to be a master archer who finds himself reluctantly thrust into, well, an adventure. He's trying to reclaim a legendary bow and defend the woodland, but the best part of the story, he's joined by his sidekick, Bluey, the owl. Bluey also takes part in some of the gameplay sections, as you're about to find out. It's got a nice whimsical and light-hearted tone. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but his emphasis here is clearly on a unique combat and gameplay system. Now, on the face of it, you might be looking at that going, doesn't look very unique. It just looks like a side-on standard platformer. And that's what I thought until I actually played it. Now, first off, you can move freely in a standard side-on platformer manner. You can jump to different areas, and you can use your bow to flick switches, break crates, break down destructible walls, and climb up and down ladders. But then comes the combat. Now, if you reach an enemy, the game will automatically switch to combat mode. However, just like with an RPG, if you shoot them from range, you can actually insta-kill them or engage combat with an advantage. This is interesting. It really reminds me of old school Worms. It's a turn-based combat system. You can directly control the trajectory of your bow. Yes, it resets to the same position you left it, thank goodness, so that if you miss, you can make minor adjustments and then try and strike, but there's a card-based system as well. So as you're adventuring, you'll be picking up various cards, of which I believe there are up to 60. And it's what adds the real uniqueness to Bearnard, by giving you a range of strategic options. Stick with me as well, because it's a bit deeper than you might expect. Firstly, you've got things like placing a wall to slow down enemies, or firing a specific arrow that mutes an enemy, causing them to be unable to shout for help. But Bluey also gets involved. One of the cards makes him poo on the ground, and if enemies step in it, well, I think it's probably mostly emotional damage. But yeah, you get the picture. One aspect I didn't expect though is how the card mechanic goes deeper with an elemental damage system. Not only do you have your standard arrows, of which you have unlimited amounts, you can also pick up a variety of different elemental ones: fire, water, wind, and lightning. But Michał has created a really cool synergy system whereby you gradually unlock unique damage by experimenting with different elements back to back. So for example, if you did a fire and then a lightning attack, it will trigger a unique effect. You can only discover those through trial and error. Bearnard also uses armor, where some enemies will be immune to damage from certain trajectories. Now, combat uses an AP system, that's action points. They can be seen in the corner. You start out with 5 of them, and you'll strategically be using your cards and arrows to take down the enemies while trying not to get killed. if you do die, you'll go back to the last checkpoint. There's also a fast save system, which is always nice to see, but despite its cutesy looks, combat can be quite brutal, especially some of the boss fights. Now the first one is called Bloody Raven, and he's a bloody nuisance. The game locks you in on both sides, and this is where you'll want to have built up a decent collection of the most powerful cards. Cards come in different rarities, and it really is worth holding on to the better ones in case you find yourself in, well, a situation fighting against a bloody crow. I pulled out my Midas Touch card, which will kill an enemy in one hit, and then you've got the palm sweaty moment where you're lining up your shot, and if you pull it off, man, it's quite satisfying. The world that he's built also features little things like shops for you to purchase new cards. And if you come across a card that you don't need or you're full up, say you've got 8 already, you can actually grind one for gold. I'm not sure how that works, but it destroys the card and gives you its gold equivalent. And there are challenge areas that you can enter to test your archery precision, but also your noggin. Some of them are really complex, like the first one says you get a gold medal for destroying all of these boxes with a single arrow. Now I must be missing something, well I definitely am, but bronze was the best I could do. Upsetting. Now as far as the controls, things are basically as you'd expect. Move the character with the left, bring up the bow with a bumper, and then target with the right. You can also jump over small gaps and try not to fall to your untimely demise. During combat, things are a little different. The number of turns that it's going to take for you to move are shown on the screen, but you can still climb ladders to try and avoid damage or jump over gaps. That takes us onto visuals and performance, and as you might expect from a single developer, he's opted for a pixel art style, but there is some decent parallax scrolling here. Some of the animations, they are minimalist, but I think it's fair to say it's still quite a nice looking game. There are 5 distinctive biomes that you'll work your way through. It's not just forests, there are mines, snowy mountains, castles, dungeons, with each area having a fitting accompanying soundtrack. While Bearnard has a retail price of £12.49 or your regional equivalent, outside of a standard 20% discount until May the 23rd, the developer and publishers are offering an up to 50% discount off of the price by way of an owner's discount if you own one of these Untold Titles games. I'll also pop all this information in the description. That's in America and Europe, and you can get that same discount with a variety of other titles from a different publisher. I'll pop all that information, as I say, in the description. So there we have it, once again, an indie creating something that feels entirely unique. I do like it when we get some of these games that have done really well on Steam come across to the Switch. It's just a nice platform for it. So yeah, let me know what you think of this one. We'll be giving away a couple of copies, and as I say, all the information is in the description. Thanks to the publisher for sponsoring us. It really does keep the channel going, especially while we're waiting for the Switch 2 to launch. And of course, thanks to all of you that enjoy the content. For all things Switch all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys. See ya!